Okay, so I'm going to show you how to build a really simple interactive PDF that is used as a portfolio. So this could be showing your work or maybe product photography or something like that. So the size we want to do is web. We're going to go to presets 1024 by 768, which means I'm really making this for a laptop. So if I wanted to specifically size this more towards a mobile, I could do one of these. It wouldn't look as good on the web. This one is designed mostly to be shown on the web. So I'm going to go here. I want 9 pages, and we definitely don't want facing pages. We want them to just all scroll straight down. And do you notice by putting it on web, it automatically changed the units to pixels? So if I go back to print and I say I want to do a tabloid, now it's 11 by 17 in inches. So when I go to web, view all the presets, 1024 by 768, now we're in pixels. As far as the columns, that's really just a guide. If you want a column guide here, you could put one in. Same with margins, you don't really need one, but sometimes it's nice just to have kind of an area around, evenly around the document. Bleed and all that, we don't need any of anymore. And there we go. We are all set up to go. Now, if you notice on the PDF, I'll put this in full screen and you'll see that no matter what page that we are on, the buttons at the bottom stay the same. And this type along the left stays the same. So that's the shell, the bar along the left, the corner, and this bar along the bottom. So when something is on every page, the best place to set that up in InDesign is on a parent page. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what you usually do when you're doing navigations or just the shell of the PDF. You want to set that up here in the parent page. So the things that we have there are kind of the shell and then the buttons. So with the shell, I'll show you what I ended up doing. I put this kind of gray box along the left side. I put this black box up on the right. I typed out the name of the studio. So I put Don Vito Photography, even though I'm not a photographer. It's just an example. And if you wanted, you could keep that in the live area or the margin that we made, or you could take it straight off the side. You don't have to worry about getting too close to the edge, but I still recommend that if you're going to go off, go way off or stay in. So I'm just going to set this on the margin. And so now we need to put in our navigation. So that means we have to consider what pages we're going to have and how we kind of want to work within them. My first navigation I want to make is the home page. You always want to be able to get to wherever you are in the document. You always want to be able to get back to your home page. So I'm going to kind of keep this in the same typeface. I did this one in Gotham, so I'll do this in Gotham also. And just to make life easier, I'm going to center this type within this text box. And I'm also going to center it vertically by going to text frame options and center. That's just in case I want to make a rollover effect on that. So I'm going to bring that down here. I'm going to first make that white down here. And now I'm going to use that same type to do my other pages. So I'm going to do an about page, a portfolio page, and then my contact page. Now I want my contact page to be right here. So I'm going to, and then this is going to be a portfolio page, which is going to take up a little bit more room. In fact, I put too many. So this one's going to be portfolio. This is the about page. This is always like about me or something like that. So these, if we get these pretty close to the size of the box they're in, we can actually distribute these by going to Align under Object and Layout. And I want to use spacing for these, so I'm going to put a little bit of spacing, and I want to distribute that here horizontally. Now, the other thing I want to do is, since portfolio has more than one page, about is one page, contact is one page, and home is one page. But since portfolio is more than one page, I want to put something that thumbs you forward and back. I don't want to put that on the whole document because it gets complicated, but I can pretty easily do it here. And again, everything that's a button has to be in its own box. So I can't just add that in front of portfolio. I have to set it here, make it just the same space. I'll grab a piece of type from that, put it there, and I want to make this the back button. And now I've got to go to Object, Text Frame Options, and center that again. I want to make that as narrow as possible. You don't want to overlap these text boxes. It can really mess up the function. So I'm going to get portfolio as tight as I can, and I'm going to bring this right next to it. And then I'm going to drag with the Option key, and then I'm just going to flip this up in the top control bar. And there we go. So now we are on the parent page and we have all our buttons. So now it's time to hook these up and make them active. So the first thing I would do is, people are used to seeing a logo having a link to the home page. So in this case, this logo is going to link to the website. So I'm going to go to Interactive, Hyperlinks, and I'm just going to put in my website here. Vito Photography, this is not real.com. And that's all I'd have to do. Now when you click on that, it'll go to the website. Now these buttons are a little different, and we're not going to use the hyperlinks for this. We're going to use buttons and forms. All the things that you need to do this are under interactive. So we're going to go to buttons and forms, and everything we're making down here is a button. You could name this home button. It's not that important, the name. What's important is the function. So the function of this one, no matter what you call this, the function of it is to go to the first page of this document. And that's really all you need. That's how simple this is. When someone clicks on this button, it will always, no matter where they are, it will take them to the first page of the document. Then you go here and you want some kind of rollover, because you want someone to know that the button's interactive and that they're going to make it active. So rollover is a little tricky. Once you click on rollover, you can go into this button. I'll go in really close. That red line tells you that this is an interactive active button. I'm in rollover. I'm going to click the type. Now, do you see how it looks like I'm not in buttons and forms anymore? But I actually am. I'm going to make this type red. Now when I click on this again with the selection tool, you can see that I'm back in buttons and forms. And this is my rollover state. So I got to return this button to the home state. And then that is all there is to it. We have to do it to all of these. Now the trick with About, Portfolio, and Contact is that we don't actually have a page for those yet. Because those are going to specific pages, they need to be a destination, and we don't have that defined yet. So we're just going to leave everything else alone right here while we build out some of these pages. So let's click this off and go to Pages and start working on this. And you'll see the shell is on all of the pages. We're going to start labeling these pages on the document, because right now they all look alike, so we can't really define our pages or test our buttons. So this one is easy. We're just going to leave this alone. That's the home page. This second page, I'm just going to label it as About. This third page is where our portfolio starts. This is portfolio 1. And then this last one is our contact page. So now that we know what's on every page, it becomes a little easier. We can start defining these pages or defining the destination. So you go to Interactive, Hyperlinks, and what we want to do is define this page. You'll say New Hyperlink Destination. And we'll call this About. The type of connection it is, instead of sending us to a URL, it's sending us to a page in the document. So we have to name the pages that we want to use. And we're not going to name it with the page number. We're just going to call it About. And then our first portfolio page, new hyperlink destination, and we're going to call that portfolio. Now we don't need to label any of these because we're not going to there as a destination, just contact. So make sure you click on the page, new hyperlink destination. We're going to say contact. And now we can go back to our home page and hook all these buttons up. And also one thing I want to tell you is all of these things that we're putting on the parent page, the shell for this entire interactive PDF should be placed on a top layer. So do you see how I've made a layer called parent page? And I'm even going to lock the bottom one to make sure I don't accidentally build that there. All of these elements that we're putting on this parent page need to be on a top layer. That way, no matter what you're putting on the pages, this shell and the buttons are never covered up by anything. Now we'll go back to our parent page and we can hook up these other buttons. So the About button, we're going to bring back Buttons and Forums. We're going to make this a button. We can call this About. Like I said, it's not that important, the names. And what we want this one to do is go to a destination, a specific place in the document. And it's in this document, we still have it named. The destination, it already knows it's about, but here are the 3 destinations that we just defined on the hyperlink panel. So yes, we want this to go to about, and remember we want all the rollovers here to be the same. So that same consistency that we've been working on in our print documents, we need to also do here. So I'm just going to do the exact same deal, which is keep clicking on it till I'm back into text. I'm going to make this turn red. And then when I click on it with the selection tool, you can see I'm back in the buttons and forms. Make sure that you return that to the normal state. Now on portfolio, I'm going to do the same thing. And this destination is portfolio. And then our rollover is red. And then let's do contact. Go to destination. And this time we're going to the contact page. And we'll just put our rollover in. Return it to the normal state. And there you go. So now that's our 4 main navigation buttons. And our logo is going to go to our website. It's a hyperlink destination. Now these 2 forward and back buttons, I have found these to be, in general, icons and glyphs on their own like that can sometimes be shifty. So what you can do is go to type and let's create outlines of those before we make them into buttons. So type, create outlines. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea for all of our buttons, but it'll be a lot easier on these. And then we're just going to make these forward and back. So this one's going to be a button that goes to previous page. So whatever page you're on, it's going to go to the previous. So I'm going to call this back. And then our rollover is just the very same button, but in red. Turn that. Same with this one. This one's a button, but this one is our forward button. And so the action on that is go to next page. Wherever you are, go to the next page. So we're going to make this rollover red as well. Turn that. Now we just need to go in and do a little tidying up on these buttons where it makes sense. So for example, on the home page, you don't need a home button. And we don't want these forward and back on their portfolio until we're on that page. So these items are all on the parent page, which means they're locked and you can't access them from here. But we don't want to delete them from the parent page because we do want them on some pages. So the way you can unlock an item that's on the parent page is simply hold Shift Command. So if I hold Shift Command and then click on the home button, it's unlocked and I can delete it. And I'm going to do the same to these arrows. Shift Command and then click on it. On the About page, I also don't want the forward and back on the portfolios. Now on the portfolio first page, I don't want a back because that's our first portfolio item. So I'm going to use Shift Command, click, get rid of that backwards. And then we're only going, now we can go backward or forward until we get to the last page. Now, if the last page is the 6th page of the portfolio, then we don't want a button there that says go to the next one. So Shift Command and get rid of that button. You'll also notice I put an underline under each of the pages. This is kind of a cool way to indicate what page you're on. So when I'm on the About page, there's an underline. When I'm on the portfolio pages, there's an underline, and then the contact page. So that's just a style thing that helps it light up to what page you're actually on. Now to put our images on all the page, we just want to make sure that we're on the layer at the bottom. So we're going to lock the parent page. All of our images should go here, and then it should be pretty easy. We'll just place them. Now, when it comes to resolution and PPI on a digital file, you don't have as much concern. So I'm going to take this image and see where we're at. We're at 131. The effective PPI on this, as long as you hit the number 72, which is for digital use at the size you're using it, you should be fine. So we don't have as many issues with that either. So I just want you to go in and put all the images down here that go. Okay. By now you should have put in those images. So there's our cover image. On this one, the About page, I have copy I've given you, and I just put it in a box off to the side. And then I put in the photography in no particular order on each of these pages. It should slide nicely behind the frame that you made. On the contact page, just leave that blank. Just leave the word contact in there. Next week, I'll cover how to make interactive forms and contact information. Now there's just checking over to do about portfolio contact. We want to make sure, I thought I saw something here. Also on this last page, the contact page, we do not want to have these pieces here, the forward and back. And that should do it. So let's do one more test before we export it. And here's where we can test our portfolio forward and back. So everything should have forward and back except for the first photo and the last photo. So that's kind of a way of allowing someone to thumb through your portfolio or your products or whatever without having too much more complicated navigation. Then our contact page, we can go back to the home page. Always make sure you can get around your whole document easily. And that's it. So everything works. Now, when you're doing yours, you can put your company name onto the side. You can use the images I gave you. You can put your own. I just want the same format, meaning that I want the shell and I want 9 pages. The last is contact. The first is the home page, an about page, and then these portfolio pages, be whatever they are. They could be this exact photographer's portfolio and you could just use your last name, but maybe you want to take some of the drawings you've done or something else and put it in there. That will work too. So when you export it, you just say export as an interactive PDF. All pages, there's nothing really to do here. You could say open in full screen mode, so I just leave it as is. Now once you're in Acrobat, you can put it in full screen mode by doing Command L. Kind of makes it look nicer. And you could build that into your document there at the end, that whenever someone gets this, it goes to full screen mode automatically, if it really depends on that. And then just check it here. Perfect. Everything looks good. We can get back home. There's the contact page. And then if someone clicks on the logo, it will take them to a URL. Okay, perfect. That's all you've got to do. Just hand that in and you're good to go.